Click the links to join the channel here over at subscribe. So are the various other links. I have a mailbox for mail me comics or cool pocket knives. So the idiot muckrakers in the media are constantly stirring up trouble. These media parasites, energy vampires, ticks, and leeches. You don't hate the media enough. You only think you do. Every once in a while, I go back and try to think back to the Covington Catholic kids, where the all the media that reported on that, they had the full footage. They knew exactly what was going on, and they deliberately lied to push a narrative. Or the Newsweek cover with Trump on the cover and a little girl crying. You look at the original photo, her mother's standing right there, but they edited her out of the picture. Like that's the mainstream media. Anyway, so people, this guy covers country song musician covers the '88 song, and people like the original song. It was a huge hit in '88. They like the cover. It's like covering songs is very common, like forever. That's the history of music. Both artists liked the cover, and she went and she talked about how much she liked it. And Chapman is happy that the song got clicks on the country charts. So what's the problem? Well, there is no problem. That's like a win-win. The people covering songs, like what a compliment it is. Plus, you're getting the residuals. You're getting a piece of that, the cover. But there's a class of people who need to keep poking groups with a stick to keep them angry at each other. They can't have people living in peace. Otherwise, they might start to focus on real issues. That's why they have this constant red herrings and straw mans and the bread and circuses distraction type of issues. Like where a story comes out and it's a huge... It really catches the public's eye, but you also know it's kind of a non-story, like the Hunter Biden marching powder story, and it's like it's way overblown, no pun intended. And you look like, oh, this is a distraction from something else. There's something else that's going on that these media parasites don't want you to focus on, because like a story about somebody leaving a small amount of contraband should not be a story. It's like that's just internal to the White House. They can figure that out. But that's where the Washington compost comes in, by bringing up the past history of music so she can get some conflict going and drive some clickbaits to the art. It's like that's what the mainstream media is. Like the internet destroyed the media, and I mean even the mainstream media is now clickbait driven because they have to be. And now there's so much competition to them. It's amazing to see like Newsweek covering articles on Margot Robbie, just like stupid pop culture type of stuff. And it's like, you guys used to be real media. What happened? Well, the internet happened. Anyway, ultimately, you cannot have a country with these kind of people. They need chaos and strife to operate, and they'll use any excuse to write clickbait articles and get people fighting from a song from 30 years ago. And the white pill is that people are becoming awake to what's going on with these media parasites, the journalists, as the Quartering calls them. Anything that lampoons the media is good because they have this overblown vision of themselves. It's just... Maybe in the 60s, if you're in, I don't know, Saigon or something, like, I get it. Yeah, maybe if you're in a war-torn area with that 35 millimeter, yeah, okay, maybe you can say you're actually doing something. But, they're not now. Like, half the time now they're fabricating stories about helicopters being shot. I don't know if that was Tom Brokaw or who came out with these bizarro stories like that. Anyway, so when the song came out in '88, the media parasite is whining that it didn't track on the country charts. And that's somehow istophobic and problematic and all the other stupid buzzwords that these media vermin use, except that the song was a huge hit and tremendously successful in the Grammys, and it drove the album sales, and hell, maybe it was used in movies, I don't remember. So everything should be good, except that's not how these parasites operate. They can't let people live in peace. You only think you hate journalists. You're going to need to dial that way, way up. Because this idiot has an issue with a country singer doing a cover, and people are reminding her of a little Dolly Parton song that Whitney Houston covered that was a massive hit used in the movie, I want to say The Bodyguard, Kevin Costner. And you can go back to listen to both songs back to back, see which one you enjoy. Houston had a solid voice, of course, but God, what was that movie? That movie about the axe murderer who was crazy. The guy was in Batman. It was from these books that this guy wrote. He wrote the two books that later got turned into movies, and Less Than Zero was one of them. He wrote that, turned into a movie, and then I forget what this one was called. The axe murderer one is American Psycho or something. Book and a movie, kind of cool. Anyway, you can listen to both versions. I think you're probably going to find that Parton's version was better. It was sweeter and deeper, while Houston's was a very produced pop version. But I mean, they're both good in their own way. But it was a pop cover of a country song, and nobody had issue with it because why would they? That's how music or people in general work. They're influenced by each other. It's not cultural appropriation. That is a Bolshevik phrase used to manipulate people and sell clickbait and just keep people fighting instead of focusing on other things that might be more important. The media is these lizard demon hybrids, and I hope people are taking. Let me skip that Fed post. You got to ask if people want the country to work. Then, if they do, they can't make issues over non-issues. But the media fundamentally do not want the country to work because, if they don't, like otherwise it would be better just to split regions apart so people can live in peace without these endless conflict and riots and all this kind of nonsense, or just these constant bickering little articles of just, it just wears on a society. Like, you can't have society needs a certain amount of social lubricant, and you can't have these people who are just this abrasive people who are looking for every little conflict to exploit and blow oxygen on. And these, the media parasites, they need a host. They need conflict. They start the fire, but they miss the firefight, to quote Appetite. It's okay to hate journalists. I think that's a sign of a healthy country because, they are hateful vermin people. They're like, you're not, the media is not the media anymore. The media has never been the media, but like there was this expectation of, at least at one time, people were trying to pretend to be the media. Fair, impartial, unbiased. At one time, there was some nod to that. It's like, like it was always left-wing bias, but then after 2016, they lost their freaking minds. And then after 2020 riots, it's like, oh, there is no mainstream media anymore. All media that offers any nuance to a story is alternative media. There's Wall Street Journal. You read it, it's like, but this is clearly left-wing biased. Oh, well, that's just the right point of view. If you say that, like, if you're okay with the left-wing bias in the media, then like you're not okay with media. You're okay with propaganda because you're just happy to be in an echo chamber hearing exactly what you think you believe. The only reason you believe half the stuff is because the left-wing media has been brainwashing you your whole life. Anyway, yeah, definitely hate journalists. We should focus more on the media, thereby. You ever wonder why the media doesn't focus on the media? Like, why one network doesn't investigate other networks? ABC is not looking to CNN. Yeah, the thing seems weird. Like, if they're really the media, shouldn't they be as fair and impartial as possible? And like, no, because they're not the media. They're these tools of the machine, of these puppet masters, so they can push this propaganda. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks to everyone over Subscribe Star. Someone's sending me a tablet in the mail, and I will see you guys all next episode.